It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the GamesBeat Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of games so you don't have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeffrey Grubb. With me is
Mike Minotti.
Hello, Mike. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some news. There's stuff happening with PlayStation 5. There's stuff happening with Switch updates and some rumors. Then we're going to talk about a few games that we've been playing. First, though, I want to thank everybody for joining us. You can get more from me and Mike at GamesBeat.com. If you have something to share with us, you can email the podcast at gamespluspodcast@venturebeat.com. If you're listening to this on Twitch or you're watching on YouTube or something, you can subscribe to the audio version of this show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and more. And if you like the show, rate us. It helps people find it. And if you tell a friend, that also helps people find it because your friends are people. Thank you to Carlos Ayin, who is Insane in the Rain Music on YouTube, for the use of our theme song. What's your problem, Mike?
Maybe your friends are people.
Okay, you're right. I'm being kind of presumptive there. You're right.
No.
Yeah, how you doing? What you been up to?
This,
Yeah.
mostly, drinking beer and playing some games, playing way too much World of Warcraft, which we'll talk about later. But, not much.
Not much.
Trying to get by. How about you?
Yeah. I think it's getting to me. I think I'm like
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
it's getting to me. It goes in waves, right? So we go up and we go down.
Last week was a pretty good week. This week has been kind of a rough week.
Right, and it's like in the rough weeks are like even when I'm busy, it's still like I'm still thinking about like all this a lot. Or if I get in like a shitty mood, and it's really hard to like get out of that funk because it's like, where am I gonna go? What am I gonna do? It's not like I can like make plans even. So it's like I went for a drive yesterday when I got, or maybe it was, I don't even remember time anymore, but I like had to just go get in my van and like just kind of drove to the corner or something, and that helped a little bit, but like you're not even supposed to do that. Like that's kind of it's against the rules just to go for a drive right now, because you increase the likelihood of an accident and taxing the health system and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, yeah. So I just drove and went back home, but like, what other options do I have? I've been trying to exercise more. That's been helping.
Yeah,
Ring Fit. Yeah, Ring Fit has been really
clean
nice.
more. But...
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I think overall, though, I mean, I think we're starting to see the end of the tunnel. Do you get that feeling, maybe, like that we're gonna understand what it looks like getting out of this soon, even if it's still a long ways off?
Yeah, I think so. It seems like it's gonna have to. I guess that's happening. I don't know. It's so hard because you're trying very hard to be very careful and cautious because of the very high stakes, but you're also trying to find that exit strategy because it's driving you crazy.
Yeah.
So it's all very delicate and intense. And, I ultimately would rather, stay inside for another few months if it's going to save lives. Right.
Right.
But
yeah, of course.
it's also like, but I do like thinking and imagine like, oh man, maybe someday life won't be hell.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we can kind of get into the news here, I think. I'm sure we'll kind of touch on all this stuff through some of this news. Like, for example, in this first story, Sony is planning a limited PlayStation 5 output in its first year. This comes according to a story from Bloomberg and the reporting team that actually has done a pretty good job of stuff like snuffing out these rumors and stuff. And the reasons for this are some of what you would expect. COVID-19 is having an effect, but it's the effect is mostly on like making deals, like traveling, and then component sourcing, like sourcing the actual components for the PlayStation 5. And so that means like PlayStation 5 is using this exotic data transfer system that is built specifically for the PlayStation 5, and so Sony's got to get the manufacturing for that up and running all on its own. It can use off-the-shelf NVMe SSDs. That's fine, but there's a lot of stuff in between that and then your TV before like that actually works or matters. So that seems to be an issue, and it's causing like here. I wrote down some notes from the story. So the console is still on track for year-end launch. They expect the biggest impact from the virus so far is just going to be on unveiling the system itself. So that's why why we haven't heard stuff, why they haven't shown anything, why they haven't had like really big events, other than like, we're going to show the controller. And it's like, even the controller, the rumor now is that they showed that because they were sending it out. And they even said so in their blog. Like, our partners have it. So let's just talk about it.
Right. We literally can't keep it a secret for much longer anyway. So
exactly.
Here it is.
Yeah, and then the couple other notes: component scarcity, logistic issues, software delays, global travel impact. These are the things that are getting affected, and then that may lead to a delay. But so far, they're expecting to launch it this year. And then, last note is pricing is being difficult, or is a difficulty for Sony. They're maybe looking at the range from $450 to $500. So all of that, taken into consideration, what are you thinking about the PlayStation 5 launch, Mike?
I mean, I expect that it is still happening this year. I expect there are going to be shortages.
Yeah.
I expect they're not going to be that upset about that. I mean, we've seen before. I mean, they used to. It's not that weird for them to manufacture shortages, anyways, right? Because
Right.
they want to see people waiting lines and like store shelves don't have them when you get those news reports like, oh, everybody's sold out of the PlayStation 5, right? So, like, that's kind of a goal, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, they'd rather have that than have the whole we missed this year entirely.
I think
And the
you're
whole
right.
thing got delayed.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. We've seen it before, and if you think about if you take the life cycle of a console into consideration as a whole, how much does the first year end up mattering for any of these things? I think it matters if you have a really bad one in terms of perception and like bad stories like the Xbox One had. But if it's like, oh, it's hard to buy, but people really want it, and it is this major upgrade, that only seems to help in the end. The Wii was hard to get for how many years? Like 2 or 3 years. It was really hard to get a Wii. So they'll get through. And the Wii in total ended up selling just fine. Over 100 million units. So
right. I mean, even if it hurts like their quote unquote sales for like 6 months or a year or whatever. I mean, the tail is so much longer now than it ever was that's not going to bother them too much. I don't think they'll be okay.
What do you think about this pricing? What do you think for? I would say probably just $500.
I think 500 is going to be a little bit not hard to swallow, but I think people still maybe pay that. There's going to be some negativity about it. Sure. I don't know why, but 450 just sounds so much like more manageable for a lot of people. I feel like some people. I feel like even though it's a $50 difference, like people are going to be a lot happier if it was 450 than 500.
Yeah, I could see them doing something like $489.99, like $490. 450, even that sounds pretty tough because I think they're going to bake in some cushion with all this uncertainty. Even though I hate using the word uncertainty right now because duh, but they want to have some cushion in case they can't predict what's going to be a problem in manufacturing 6 months from now, a year from now. So, and honestly, they're probably, we talked about this before. This happens with GPUs and CPUs on the PC component side, on the desktop, where the price is the last thing to get announced. And the big reason for that is because they don't decide until the last minute, because they're competing with another company right over there, and that other company hasn't decided either. And the way you position your product needs to directly relate to another product from your opponent. And knowing what they're going to do, so like once they know it's going to come it's probably going to come at the last minute, and we'll find out then. And they'll probably do the lowest they possibly can get away with while still having a cushion there. So I would expect anything in the 450 to 500 range. Do you think Microsoft tries to come out and match whatever Sony does price wise? I mean,
it certainly seems like this is the time where, because things are so kind of difficult right now, it's not the time to be kind of cute and be like, we'll take a hit and come in $50 or $100 lower than our competitor, right? Like I feel
no way.
This is the time where people are going to be like, okay, we can just do what they did then.
Mm-hmm.
Like whoever announces first, it seems very likely that the next person is going to be like, our costs that much exactly also.
Right. It seems like that. Like push the battle somewhere else. Don't make it about price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Sony is no stranger to price wars when it comes to consoles. Like that's what they did with the first PlayStation. This was Ken Kutaragi was like, we made the PlayStation really cheaply, and we're selling it for a ton because that's how much the Saturn is. But the Saturn's really expensive to make, so anytime they cut prices, it's really going to hurt them, and we can always match them, or we could go lower and force them down. And that was a Sony strategy, like right out of the gate with the PlayStation. They're really aggressive about that sort of stuff, but maybe they might be in the situation where they are the ones who struggle with that out of the gate in terms of having that cushion because of this exotic data transfer system that they are putting in there. I think overall it sounds like Xbox Series X might be more expensive to manufacture just because it is more powerful. But maybe that's not made up, or maybe that's that gap is made up by Sony's specific proprietary system.
Right. But I mean, this last generation, it wasn't really won or lost by pricing, right?
Right.
Xbox One and PlayStation 4. It was other things like exclusives and kind of just messaging and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the
very
pricing
early on.
maybe the pricing in the first year, because $100 extra to get the you have to pay for the Kinect. That's what people thought about.
That's right.
Right, and it's like that was the big hang up. They're like, I don't want to pay extra to get this thing. I'm just going to put in the closet, or that I don't want to use.
I guess it'd be maybe more I could say like in that midway point when we were at the PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox
Yes,
One
that's
X part,
definitely.
Especially when the One X was like quote unquote better, and
Right.
like that didn't necessarily seem to matter compared to all the exclusives and all that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're going to be hearing more about these systems soon. But things might, things are still up in the air. Things are still really confusing. I know in Japan, which Sony isn't necessarily like the PlayStation unit isn't necessarily housed in Japan anymore. But anyone that is working in Japan is having a hard time transferring to work from home. It's a culture that's not set up for that really. And they just went into work from home pretty recently. So maybe there's some delays there. I think that's probably causing problems with companies like Nintendo and stuff. But yeah, so we should hear stuff soon, but who knows? They might want to just wait until they can be more sure about any of this, which could take some time. Let's move on to story number 2 here. The Nintendo Switch got an update to 10.0.0. That's the version of the firmware that they launched. And the big thing here is it has system-level rebindable controls. Is this something that you've ever wanted from the Switch?
Yes. Something I wanted very recently, when I was playing the Mega Man Zero ZX collection.
Yes.
Just because it and a lot of games does the thing where like they treat the shoulder triggers as like the main trigger buttons. The bumpers, I mean, like the shoulder bumpers instead of the shoulder triggers. And I wanted to switch those, and I couldn't in the game. But now I could just do that in the the back end or through the system itself, and that sounds great. Yes, please.
I wonder if it'll be set up like profiles. I haven't looked at it yet. Like where if you're going to go play a certain game, you could just select a profile for controls and just use it in that one game, or if it'll have to be across every game. That would be frustrating. But at least they're doing this now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
But other things out of this update, some data miners started looking into it like they always do when these updates come out, and some people found maybe some references to a new Switch model. I think it's like NX-ABCD is the Switch model, and this would be a third model in addition to maybe a fourth if I think the updated Nintendo Switch original is a new model number. But yeah, this we don't know much about it, but again, no surprise that Nintendo's working on a new system.
Sure.
But one of the rumors coming out of this is that the people who found this say there are references or reasons to believe that this is a dual screen system.
Whoa.
What do
really?
you think? Yeah, really. I mean, who knows? That there could be a million reasons why it suggests that, and it's not that. But maybe it's like a way to display two different screens by turning the system sideways or something like that. You never know. But what do you think about that?
Seems hard to believe because you start segmenting things pretty intensely with Switch games, right? Between what can run on two screens and what can't. I mean, the only what's the big benefit from that would just be being able to better port DS, 3DS, and I guess some Wii U games. But I don't know. That it seems like a pipe dream.
Yeah, for me, my hope here is that I think my overall hope is they don't do this. Because for some reason, I think the segmentation, I just don't want to have to think about like, okay, the system feels so perfectly designed right now to me, where it's like, this is exactly how I want to play games. Let's not mess with it. But if they do it, my hope is the implementation is this new Switch model has the ability to beam information to its dock, and then it works like the Wii U, where you are playing on the TV and on the Switch at the same time. And then stuff like Mario Maker, you can use the touchscreen and then go play it on the screen automatically like after that, and it just works like a Wii U, and that would be fine to me. I think a separate system that has two screens built in that you take on the go, that doesn't appeal to me.
I don't know.
Not anymore. I think To me, I think you're right. It's hard to believe because the signs are that Nintendo is moving away from that on the development side. Like they are, um, taking games that might have worked on the dual screen model and they are adapting them to work on just
Right.
one screen. And Super Mario Maker 2 is an example of that. Like if they were doing this other thing, they could
Yeah,
have
a
just
lot of things
waited.
like that.
So yeah, so it's hard to believe, unless it is like the Wii U thing. I think that's the most likely thing or the easiest to swallow. But we'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah, I hope they just don't do that.
I hope.
uh,
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool thing for a while. I don't think we need to go back into that
yeah, and
immediately.
Nintendo, they can pull it off. They've done stuff that where I've been like, don't do that, and then they make it work and it's great or whatever. I just,
Sure.
right now, I don't like the idea. Let's see. So Gamescom was supposed to happen at the end of August, and they've been saying for a while now that they've been planning to go ahead. And then their hand was sort of forced, and they've canceled now because yesterday the German government announced that large gatherings are going to be continue to be banned through the end of August, and that includes Gamescom. And Gamescom is a very large event. 370,000 people go to that thing.
Mhm.
So larger than like any like sporting event or anything like that. And I don't think 370,000 are there at the same time, but so many people are there at the same time
It's a
that it
lot of people. Probably not a great idea right now,
probably not a
or
great idea.
a few months from now, even.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, and again, like we could do testing, and everyone's gonna get better at testing. Everyone's gonna get better at like finding the pockets of where these things are starting to spread again, and then containing that. You can't do that when you start getting over 20,000 people going to a thing all at the same time in one day, let alone 150,000 inside one building.
Hmm.
That's too much to manage. So until we get better, like until testing becomes so second nature, like until it's like just every day people are getting tested, yeah, I don't think these events are going to be good until we also maybe have a vaccine. So yeah, they didn't announce any like postponement. I think the place where they do this is pretty much booked after August through the end of the year. They just couldn't do this again in
I
the same
mean,
place.
yeah. I feel like a lot of people, especially a lot of them that talked about postponement at first, those are really turning into cancellations pretty quickly
Yeah,
here.
I mean GDC is the same way, right? Like GDC is still
Yeah.
supposed to happen. It's summer event now. It's supposed to happen in August. No, right? No way.
It's like, yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
right.
And what are they going to delay it again after that? No, they're going to
Yeah.
just call it a year.
Yep, and it's and I get why this is devastating for like small organizations trying to keep these
Oh
things
yeah.
working. But Gamescom, it's like a lot of other events are going digital, and they're really focusing on making this a big digital event. They have their partnership with Jeff Keighley, who does the opening night live for Gamescom, and they've been promising pretty big stuff for that. And I think it was pretty good last year. It was never a match for E3, but without E3 this
Sure.
year, maybe some companies
Mm,
take their stuff to this instead. So
yeah.
Jeff Keighley
I
has
wonder
good
like what's
relationships with these companies. So go ahead.
wonder what's like going to be the first big event that happens again. Like BlizzCon seems like kind of a litmus test at this point, and that's starting to seem unlikely to me.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm not sure because I mean that's
Yeah.
November 1st, so it's like a whiles away. But like, is it far enough away? I just don't know.
Right. And like, it's gonna take a lot to be that first thing to come back, right? Because
Right, exactly. Yeah, like the first. Yeah,
are you
it's
gonna
kind
be
of
the
scary to be like, here's the first one,
yeah
and
like
come to
what's
this
the
giant
liability
convention
there?
with people from all over the world. That's right next to Disneyland, and everyone's also going to Disneyland, and
Yeah.
isn't it going to be great? And it's like, maybe not right now. I don't
Maybe not.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Real quick, speaking of Disney, they're like, what's going on with Bob Iger? I saw a story he's taking over control again.
Um, yeah, I mean, so that New York Times said that apparently he's kind of been asserting himself back into a lot of his old CEO duties because of the sort of extraordinary circumstances that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed a little strange to me to kind of follow basically that it wasn't a good time for a transition, which I guess makes some sense, but also kind of crappy if you're the other Bob Chapek.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they are freaking out specifically because all of their money, most of their money is movies and theme parks, especially the theme parks right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what the new normal is going to look like in terms of how like even once lockdown is done, I don't know if they're I think they're worried about how many people are going to suddenly want to go to a
Sure.
massively overcrowded theme park.
Yes. That seems
So
like a lot to ask for sure. Yeah, I mean everyone's going through this right now. So yeah, like when does like Disney reopen, and is that like the sort of thing where it's like, okay, if Disney is talking about reopening, maybe we could start having these events again. It seems like that it might go in that order before anything else.
Mhm.
Um, let's see here. Next on the news list, we have Minecraft with RTX. It is out now in beta. This is something that NVIDIA and Microsoft worked on together. They've been talking about it for a while, and they finally, they put it out for everyone to play. And it seems like the delay between the announcement and actually getting it out was getting it to run well. So I've been playing it. I've been playing it since the weekend, and my experience has been you can get playable frame rates, and you get it with DLSS, and DLSS is the deep learning super sampling. Basically, it's running at a lower resolution, and then it uses
Resolution, eh?
resolution, and then it uses super sampling
Is
with
that a Metal Gear game?
yeah, I
Metal
think
Gear Solid Resolution.
yeah, it's the action one for sure. Platinum made that one, yeah. But yeah, it takes a lower resolution, and then it makes it look like a higher resolution with almost no. You can't really tell the difference. But that's the only way to really get playable frame rates. That said, I think 40 frames per second is sort of a nice. An acceptable trade off for how good the game looks. It really does look amazing. You can see it in videos too, so people don't have to necessarily go out and try it themselves. You can look in videos and see the difference. But I will say, trying it yourself is really going to make most people a believer, I think, of this technology, because it looks so. It just makes it look like someone took the Minecraft aesthetic and then waved a wand and said, "What if that was a real reality? Like, what if that was a reality, and you could just go walk in it?"
Real reality.
Yes.
I'm just really digging it to you now.
Yeah, no, I deserve it. I definitely do. But I don't know. It's kind of spectacular how good it looks. But I can only say that so much before people are like, "What do you mean?" Like, if you have an RTX card, and probably pretty soon, like GeForce Now, if you have like a paid account to play with the RTX over the cloud, you could see it for yourself, and it really is kind of mesmerizing. So, yeah, that's out now in beta. So if you have the Windows 10 version, you can try that.
I just want to ask you: do you like playing Minecraft? Did you have fun playing Minecraft?
I don't really like it that much anymore. My time with Minecraft is past for sure. They in these worlds, like, you have to build specific worlds with RTX materials, and so they kind of turn these into like little adventure games. And I was going through these places, and that was fun. But it was more fun just to see, like, oh, here's the lighting trick where the light is passing through a blue glass, and so now the light is blue, and it's making this whole room look really awesome. That
Blue
stuff
light, dude.
yeah,
Come
blue
on.
light. Hey, you can poo
What
poo it.
more do you need?
You can poo poo it. It's incredible. It really
I'm
is.
not poo-pooing nothing.
You are poo pooing.
Oh, give me that blue light. Serve it up hot.
Okay, speaking of RTX though and ray tracing, here's some. Okay, Crisis Remastered got announced. It is coming to the PC.
I don't think it got announced. I think it got leaked.
It got leaked. I think they've, like, in the last hour, they have actually announced it.
Oh,
I saw that.
Okay.
Maybe that's not right, but here, okay.
Maybe that's right. That sounds right.
So PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. But here's the line I want to read. So, Crisis Remastered brings new graphic features, high-quality textures, and the CryEngine's native hardware and API-agnostic ray tracing solution for PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and, for the very first time, Nintendo Switch. So that sentence, the way it's written, says that Crisis has ray tracing on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch.
Ray tracing on Switch.
Ray tracing on Switch. Now, maybe this is not written correctly. Maybe they're saying Crisis is coming for the first time, and you can get some of these features on some of these things. And maybe it's just PC. But the way it's written, that's what it means. If we're going to take this sentence as at face value, that is not impossible. And I know Crytek has its own path tracing, ray tracing implementation that does not need like DirectX ray tracing or even Vulkan ray tracing, which are these graphic APIs.
Vulkan ray tracing.
Yeah, and it doesn't need RTX cards to necessarily work. My guess is that the ray tracing is for some like very specific stuff, and not like global illumination, which would have to calculate the behavior of rays of light hitting every single surface in the environment at least like around 30 times every second. And that's why, in Minecraft,
Sounds like a lot.
It's a lot. That's why in Minecraft you go from 144 frames per second, and then you hit the button to turn on ray tracing, and it dips down to 30 to 50. It's a lot, and that's with like the high end 2080 card, 2080 Ti. this seems unlikely, and at least you could do ambient occlusion. We don't have to talk about this very much, but you could do like very specific stuff, and then like say, oh, that's path tracing. Yeah, and that's ray tracing, so that counts. And yeah, but you're not going to notice it. It's not going to make much of a difference to the way it looks, but we'll see. Yeah, but apparently that's coming. So I didn't get a date for that because when I put it in here, it was still a rumor, and then I thought like right before we came on, it said it was announced. So we'll see. XCOM Chimera Squad. Did I say that right? Chimera Squad? Yeah.
Chimera. I think Chimera.
Chimera, right? Yeah. Okay. XCOM Chimera Squad.
It's really hard. Chimera.
Chimera. That is out April 24th for $10. What's your relationship with the XCOM games?
Man, I played the first one a bit and liked it, but I haven't really checked in on that series in a while. The closest thing I've come to it lately was the Mario Rabbids game.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm gonna check this out, even though I haven't played
these games, right?
Yeah, I haven't played XCOM too much, but I want to. But I
felt like a lot of people, like, I don't know why, I felt like there was a lot of excitement for XCOM 2, but then I personally didn't know very many people that were playing it, so it kind of flew under my radar. Like, people liked it, right? I
think the second game out of the gate had some issues. I think there might have been some tech issues, and it didn't run very well, and it was only on PC. And so I think it had sort of like when it first came out, it had this like bounce back effect where people were like, not right now. And then over time with updates, and especially with the DLC, people have come around on it, and they're like, oh, this is one of the best XCOM games. I love this game. So it's in a good position right now, and now they are releasing what feels like standalone DLC. But you don't need the other game to play this. It's just $10.
Even pretty cheap standalone DLC. You said
$10. So it's for a limited time. The normal price is $20, but at launch it's going to be $10. And from what I've heard it's like that's probably the right price, $10. It feels like a very slimmed down XCOM experience, and it is different. They're doing new stuff. Like instead of rolling random soldiers, you are getting a squad of 11 specific soldiers, and it's a mix-up of, it's like a District 9. It's a mix-up of like humans and aliens and different kind of aliens that have different abilities, and you're all working together to protect this like hybrid human-alien city that happened after XCOM 2. So there's a lot of potential there, but it also sounds like it is a very scripted and written down experience instead of like this open-ended thing.
Yeah, other XCOM it sounds neat, but I kind of thought like one of the big things of XCOM was like making your squad and like leveling them through a long progression, right?
Right, like naming them after your friends, building a relationship with them, and then they die, and it's like, oh man, I just lost Mike. Good.
No.
But yeah, so it's different, and I want to see how it's different. So I want to try it out and give it a shot. And then if it is like, oh, this is like just a $10 game for sure, I can always just go play XCOM 2 if I get the itch. So yeah. Sony is it's already given away. I think they announced a $50 million fund to help support the fight against COVID-19. And then on the other end, to help gamers stay at home, they are starting this Play at Home initiative. This is them planning to give away Nathan Drake Collection and Journey to all PS4 players, which is
Mikey likey.
Yeah, it's a nice thing. I think I might have Nathan Drake Collection, but if I don't, I will definitely pick this up, and I think I'll go back.
I think I had it physically, and I've been lending it to so many people that just like being able to get it digitally will be pretty nice.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, I could go for just playing through. Like maybe I'll play Uncharted 2 on the hardest mode. I don't think I've played 1 or 3 in a while. Have you played all the originals?
No, I haven't. I played through most of 2. I think I don't know if I've beat
most
it.
Most of 2.
Yeah.
You didn't even beat Uncharted 2, one of my favorite games of all time.
When you were like Uncharted 2 is going to be game of the year, and then
I'm like, my first story. I wasn't even a real writer yet.
I'm like, I don't like this Mike guy. I'm not going to play that just to spite him. So yeah, that was my response. No,
it turned out I was right.
Yes, it turned out that
was the one time where everyone else was even like, yes, clearly the Uncharted game this year was the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah. So yeah, I might give the games another shot and go back. Well, actually go back and play them, especially if it's just free and it's right there on my PS4. And I'm like, my PS4 is back up on connected to my main TV because of Final Fantasy VII Remake. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Just a couple more stories and then we'll move on. Cyberpunk 2077 probably isn't going to get delayed. They put out a blog saying, or no, not a blog. They had a conference call with investors, and we're like, hey, we're moving right ahead. The game's pretty much finished. We're just polishing up, and we could do all of that from where we're at. So that's good. And then sad news. Rick May, who was a voice actor and best known in the gaming community as the voice of Slippy in the Star Fox 64 game. He died, passed away.
Also, the voice of Soldier in Team Fortress 2. He's
Yeah.
really funny in that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a real bummer. Yeah.
all those Star Fox 64. I mean, especially like not only are those like iconic, and we kind of laugh at them sometimes, but like they are awesome. Like they did a great job of like making that feel like a Thunderbirds like video game, right? Which was like such a specific aesthetic to go for in like what 1997 or 1998, whenever that game came out for. It was kind of crazy. I mean, a Nintendo 64 game with voice acting is still kind of weird, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So the fact that they made that work was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and those lines are memorable for a reason. It's because the line reads were really good, and Rick May gets credit for that. Absolutely. All right, Mike. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about what we've been playing. Okay, we're back, and we're going to talk about the games we've been spending some time with over the past week or so. Mike, let's start with you. What have you been playing?
I've been playing, wondering why you hate Animal Crossing now.
I know, right? I had to. I just wanted to write a check-in, but it's like I kind of talked about all the things I loved in the review, and so the check-in just kind of turned into a list of stuff that has been bothering me. And it's not even, most of it's not that big of a deal. Most of it I either ignore, like online multiplayer. I'm mostly ignoring unless I really want to play with someone, because it's frustrating. It's a frustrating experience to go visit someone and then get delayed every couple of minutes because someone else is joining, and it takes a minute for someone to come in. We've been over all that stuff. Everyone knows. But then I was trying to like examine like some feelings about, especially I've been hearing from other people about maybe this one is leaving them behind a little bit, especially if they were fans of previous Animal Crossings. And I've said from the beginning that I think this is the Animal Crossing for most people. I think this is the one most people are going to have the best time with. And the reasons for that are the same reasons that I think some people are feeling alienated after like spending a lot of time with New Leaf. And it basically comes down to this game is giving you more optimized things to do to either, earn in-game currencies or to better use your time. And so what that ends up doing is all the things that are still in this game that were sort of kind of pointless in the previous games, you feel that pointlessness more than ever. You feel like if you're doing that, it now feels like I am wasting my time because I could be spending time optimizing my path forward or whatever, really working on the turnip market, which, was always there, but now it's really there with these online, selling the turnips online, or just like getting DIY stuff and spending all your time getting the crafting resources for that stuff. It's like, oh, I could be getting that and using that to build like tomorrow's hot item or whatever. But I mean, I'm sympathetic to people who feel like, okay, so now I don't get to decide what I should be doing. The game is really kind of saying, oh, these are the best things to be doing. And I'm sympathetic to that, even though I don't necessarily fully agree. I am still...
Well, I mean, I'm like sympathetic. Some of that is not an illusion, but I mean, some of that is still... like you can still just do what you want to do, right?
Totally.
You're just not getting maybe some of these rewards that you can kind of put your own value into. And I think a lot of people are having this trouble with like comparing themselves to how other people are playing because there's so much more social media.
And that's how I started the story, because it's like, that's not really the game's fault, but it's like it's a reality of where we're at now. But the one thing I kept thinking about when I was writing that is, I've never really played World of Warcraft. But when I hear people talk about classic and then, the retail or whatever, and like the hashtag no changes people and how that game has changed over time to address concerns and to be a more playable MMO as it's aged, some people have been like, hashtag no changes. The game's leaving me behind, because before I would just go out and grind in fields and just do this boring stuff, but it was my choice and I had the freedom to do that. And now there's like all these options, these super optimized options in the game. And Animal Crossing is not quite at that divide. It's not like it's that different where everything has changed and everything is optimized. A few things are slightly more optimized, but still, I think the effect is, some people are feeling the effect in the same way, where it's like, man, I wish I could go back to just like it just being like this simple town where I was watering my flowers because that's what I wanted to do, and not because there was this whole list of Nook Miles challenges telling me all the things I could do in the game and how that's going to get me a reward. That sort of thing, it demystifies and it does like break the illusion, I think, for some people. But I found myself at a point where I am ignoring that stuff if I don't like it, or I'm doing things anyhow, and I happen to get a notification. It's like,
I mean, it's not after a while. It's not like you really need very many Nook miles in
right,
actuality, right?
sure.
For much of anything.
I definitely noticed that too, because and I think that's what is happening for a lot of people is, I meant to bring this up in the story, but there was no place for it. There is a thing where people are comparing New Leaf and New Horizons, and they are thinking about the way they were playing New Leaf after like 1,000 hours of time in that game to the very first like 20 hours of New Horizons, and that is not a good comparison. Like if you go back and look at the way that New Leaf played when you first started a game, it's not nearly as fun because there's so much less to do that like they hold you back in a lot of different ways. And once you get over these humps, these early game like tutorials, basically, it's going to open up and most people are going to be happy. I think that the comparison people are making is sort of apples to oranges, even though it's Animal Crossing to Animal Crossing. It's just not, you're not comparing the same point in the game. And that's actually really, it's really important when you're talking about a game you're supposed to play for weeks and months at a time. So, yeah.
I mean, it's weird for me because this is like much more than I've ever played any of them.
Right.
So like I'm obviously liking this more, and I think having some of those goals and like things to do are better for me. Like I got Tom Nook to my island, not Tom Nook, KK Slider to my island this week, right? And all that stuff. So like I'm doing all, you know, I'm progressing very, very nicely and all that jazz. So like, so it's kind of weird for me because like I don't know what necessarily people are missing or what's different or what, you know, is not different, I guess.
It's hard to say. I think it's different. A lot of people are
I saw one person comment like they were upset about how many features were missing from New Leaf. Are there really a lot of features missing from New Leaf to this one?
Not that I remember. Not that I think there are maybe some interactions with some of the villagers that are different or missing, maybe. But I haven't really noticed that.
This guy is one of those Breath of the Wild is awful people.
I know who we're talking about here.
His opinion is suspect.
I know who we're talking about here. Yeah. But that's, I mean, you bring up a good point that like some people are bringing up their specific beefs, and they're doing so like retweeting my article. Like Chrissy Teigen like retweeted it, and then her specific complaint I don't think was necessarily even reflected in my story. I don't think I brought that up. I can't even remember what it was.
What's her complaint?
I don't remember what it was, but it was like I'm like I don't think that's actually what I was saying, but I think people are.
But thank you for showing your millions of friends.
Yeah, hey, for real, it's been doing gangbusters since you retweeted it. Thank you so much. But like, and then other people like I think read the story and then they were mad at me about like, oh, you want all this streamlining, that would be bad for the game. And I'm like, the first half of the story talks about all like social media, but then I'm like, streamlining is potentially alienating to a lot of people who like these games. Let's criticize that. Let's look at it critically and examine why that is. And that's why I was just trying to explain it. And then in the second half, I'm like, yeah, but like being able to queue items and be able to tie my workbench into my house's storage, that would be nice. I would like to streamline that stuff. And then they're mad about that, and they're like that was like the big takeaway for them. And so I think people just have all these different complaints, and I think a lot of people are like trying to I think they're trying to apply their specific complaints across the board to say, oh, everyone is having these issues with the game. And I think mostly people are loving it, I think, still.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But, like, well, you know, I mean, so you got KK Slider to come. How are you feeling about it going forward?
Oh, good. I had a lot of, like, once I was able to, like, get roads, I had a lot of fun, like, thinking more about, like, the kind of layout of my town and putting roads and decorating things and, like I guess I mean I think some people seem to be kind of upset that like their daily grind is a little bit less when there's a point where they don't need to farm as many materials as they used to, and
that's always
have
been
KK Slider there. But I mean I'm kind of happy now to be at this point where, you know, I log in once a day and I you know I'm maybe doing less, but I'm doing more meaningful things. Like for a while I wasn't even fishing anymore because like fishing is inefficient. It doesn't really get you that many bells, blah, blah, blah. And now I can like kind of just go back to fishing more because it's fun and maybe I'll catch some new fish and stuff like that. So I don't know, like again, I don't know because I never played the other ones, but like I feel like now I'm kind of getting back to more of a just kind of doing whatever I please thing, and it's nice, especially with the Easter event being over and all that stuff.
Right.
So I feel like I'm enjoying the game more this week than I was even last week, to be honest. In this kind of not post game era, but you know what
Right.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the correct arc that you've described, where you work towards these early game goals, and they are well established goals that are keeping a lot of people moving forward. They really did a smart thing with position these things. I think at a reachable point. Like I could see myself, getting these houses put together and putting all this furniture together. That's probably gonna take me a day or two, maybe. And then, I got to improve my island. Okay, well, I'll start at that, and then that's reachable, that's attainable, it's something I can do, and it's maybe a week out or so. And now that like you've got these longer and longer goals that people feel like they could reach, they are getting past them, and like you are like, okay, I fully understand like what is available to me in this game, and now I will pick and choose what I care about. And I think that in the end, most people are going to find themselves here. They're going to find themselves at the point where they are playing Animal Crossing the way it's always been intended to be played, for 20 to 30 minutes a day,
Right.
an hour, if you are really like, if you have a bunch
Now I
of
have like
stuff.
longer term goals, like filling out the museum,
Yeah.
maybe getting a 5-star island rating, getting paying off all the house loans,
Right.
stuff like that. Like there still are like pretty tangible goals
Yes.
to do. So I'm not just like aimlessly running around. So
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still like, the thing I want to do most is just get in there and making sure I'm getting each month's like new fish and bugs, and making sure I'm putting stuff in that museum. And that's like the big thing driving me back. But it's like, oh yeah, I still have like all this stuff that I have in my house as storage for decorating. Maybe I should start deciding what to do with these rooms. And I'm still buying stuff, and I want to start like building some of the more difficult and challenging DIY recipes that require a lot of stuff. And I might start trading to get the parts I need, because some of these things like the iron, the one of the famous one is like the ironwood cupboard or whatever, the ironwood kitchenette or thing, and you need an ironwood dresser, and then you also need a cutting board. And I think a lot of people have one or the other. It's like the McDonald's game where everyone got like railroad. Yeah, but
yes, I know exactly what you mean.
And so so I'm like, you know what? Instead of waiting for the game to give me this thing, I'm just going to embrace the fact that I probably am friends with someone who has the recipe for this other thing. I'll work with them. We'll get all this stuff together. We'll trade, and we'll both get this thing, and work together to get that. And that sounds like a good time too. So it's like I'm coming up with these plans to like engage with the game socially. That's exactly how I want to be approaching this going forward. It can't be Destiny. It's not that kind of game.
Right.
Yeah. So let's let it get to this point, and I think that's perfect. So yeah, and I'm still really happy with it. So despite that really long article and list of complaints, which again,
there's things to complain about. A lot of it for me is just the stuff we talked about before. How about some of the kind of annoying UI and things taking too long, and and you can't mass craft things, and like going to Person's Island. Wilbur has like
general,
like a lot of people have like 2 screens of dialogue where they could have one easily.
Yeah, for sure. And like, and I think like if they want to make sure that the store, like you have a relationship with these Nooklings that run the store, they're going to have a conversation with you when you go in there and you want to buy something. Okay, I get that. Tom Nook, like he is the infrastructure guy. You talk to him to build stuff, but you're supposed to have a relationship with Tom Nook. I do think like having the online multiplayer behind one of these same sort of conversational gates, that feels like a little bit out of place, because it's like, now I'm dealing with real people, and I need to like respect their time. And if we're supposed to meet up, and I'm like having to go through all these menus, just even if it takes like 45 seconds longer, it's like that's someone else's time now that we're talking about, and that's
right.
And you can't just like leave the switch on. I was looking at my screenshots from the 3DS game that I posted to Twitter, and I have one where I'm like, I went to eat lunch, and then I sat my 3DS down, and like, people just brought me stuff while I was there, and I just left it on the whole time, and it was connected to the internet. The Switch, even when it's like plugged in, I think even when it's docked, powers down after a little, like not very long.
Right.
So it's like if it's idle. Yeah, so it's like you can't just sit there. You can't just like let people come visit your town when you're off doing work or whatever. So it's these are hassles and hurdles, but without excusing the game for them, it's also stuff that has been a part of Animal Crossing for a long time, and it's stuff that I'm willing to deal with, because really what I'm there for is a lot of the other stuff that we talked about, the museum and all that stuff. So yeah. Okay, tell me about World of Warcraft. What's going on, Mike?
The new old raid came out in Classic, Zul'Gurub, which is like, so most raids are a 40-person raid. I was told this is like the 20-person raid, which I guess I thought that would mean it was like shorter, but it still ended up taking 2 hours to complete. and there've been a lot of queues because
Oh
of
no.
COVID, everyone at home.
Yeah.
And like I can't just like be in the queue, right? Because like after a while, like my computer will get mad and disconnect. And if like you don't like log back in right away, you get back to the front of the queue. And these are like 2 hour queues.
Oh
So
no.
like I literally had to like sit here and like watch my screen when I logged out, log back in for like 2 hours.
Oh no.
Uh, Basically, what I'm getting at is that I'm quitting raiding this week. I
Oh
think.
really? Is this it?
Yeah, I can't do it anymore. It's so way too now because like it's weird because in regular World of Warcraft when the new raid comes out, it in a lot of ways replaces the old raid.
Yeah.
But that's not really what happens here. Like we still are running all of the old raids too.
Oh wow.
It's like every time there's a new one, it's just like, well, now here's the other day we're raiding this week. I'm like,
Oh
okay,
no. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just like I'm losing a lot of the like excitement of it and the thrill of it.
Sure.
Like the big thing keeping me on right now is honestly guilt
Yeah,
because I
because yeah, okay, because you fill an important slot.
yeah, yeah, right. Not to like overinflate myself. I'm sure I'm not that good of
Well,
a healer,
yeah,
but
the
just
game's designed to
being
make
a
people.
healer,
Yes, yeah, that's the whole point of the game. Yeah, we're not giving you
yeah,
credit, Mike. Come on.
good.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. But yeah, so it's kind of it's a weird thing right now. It's like I feel bad about it, but I probably have to step back quite a bit pretty soon here. And I'm still like holding off and like talking to our GM about it. Like I should be doing that today,
Mm-hmm.
but I've kind of emotionally checked. Like I still want to play World of Warcraft and I want to like level up characters and stuff, but I don't want to like hardcore raid
So, what are
anymore.
you gonna do with all your free time?
Play games I should be playing more. Like I haven't beaten Final Fantasy VII yet because I've had to raid
Oh
3 days
God.
this week. I have the TurboGrafx 16 retro thing that I haven't been able to touch yet. So yeah, that's just where I am. I'm
Yeah,
just
that
like
sounds like
I'm at
yeah,
this
maybe it's
point.
time.
It's time. It's time.
Yeah.
I put in some good work. I mean, again, you feel so guilty too because like in classic World of Warcraft, like loot goes to the whole guild, right? So when you get loot, it means somebody else in your guild did it, right?
Right.
So that's like, and like now that I'm like all the loot that I've gotten from the guild, like now that's of no use to them because it's on this dead character. That's me, right? Like there's so much guilt tied
Yeah.
into it
Wow.
now.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I was there for like every week for a while, helping everybody else do things, I still feel
Yeah.
like
What
a
have you done
piece
for
of
them
shit.
lately, though, Mike? Come
Mhm.
on.
But it's just, I mean, especially when I did this new raid yesterday, and like I just wasn't really having that much fun. It's
Yeah.
not even like the raid's fault. It's just like here we go
Yeah.
again.
Yeah,
Like
and if
we're
your
doing it.
if your mind starts wandering, thinking about like what am I doing with my time, that can kind of poison any experience
Right.
for sure.
Especially
So,
with everything else that's going on right now. I'm
yeah,
like, I know. I'm
right.
fine. I definitely got the full World of Warcraft classic experience. And like
Yes.
maybe I'll come back. Like, I mean, I think I looked what was it? It was like 16 days of playtime.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
That's a
Like
lot.
I played right. It's like aside from maybe regular World of Warcraft, I don't know if I've ever played any game more than that. Maybe Overwatch. So
Man,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
it's a lot.
It's just not possible. Like if you have like a kid, I can't even imagine that was possible.
No, yeah, I don't even entertain the idea with a lot of the Final
It's
Fantasy
hard.
14 was like starting to
You
like
have a very understanding kid and spouse.
yeah, and it's like even then you talk about guilt, like yeah,
Yeah, talk about guilt.
yeah.
I got something for you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. You haven't beat Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I started it, and I played through the first hour, and I would have kept playing. I was, like, into it. It was getting late, and I would have kept playing, but it was like, hey, you need to download the rest of this game. We just let you start now. And I'm like, I didn't even realize it was like that. I didn't even, like, really check, because the PlayStation doesn't make it very obvious. I don't know. But it was, like, at 42%. I'm like, damn it. But, yeah, that is, I think that's a really good game. I think that's fun. Yeah. It's like... I'm in the first hour. I think this is all part of this. I think it was probably all part of the demo. I didn't play the demo because
you're doing the first bombing mission.
Yeah, I'm a grown man. I don't play demos. I don't know what that means. But I don't know. I think it's fun. I'm gonna stick with. That makes it sound like I'm gonna see it through. I really can't wait to keep playing this game. I'm like trying to.
You're not really a Final Fantasy guy usually.
No, I didn't have a PlayStation when it started going over to PlayStation, and I hadn't really played any of the Final Fantasy games up to that point. But I was getting aware of them. There was a ton of excitement around Final Fantasy VII, so I'm like, I'll go check out Final Fantasy VI, and I played through it, and I got 3/4 of the way through, and I think the first half of that game is really good. I think it does. This is a long time
What
ago.
you don't like the World of Ruin? Come on.
Yeah, I say I don't even remember. So yeah,
You don't know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Wow.
I don't. But I remember enjoying parts of that game, and then I haven't tried most other Final Fantasies, but I've like tried to go to 12 a few times because I remember people saying that was pretty good and different.
Oh, that's very good.
And I'm like, I want to give that a shot, and it didn't really stick. But yeah, I don't know. Can I ask how Kingdom Hearts is this game? I think I might ask when we talked about it, but like,
yeah, not very.
Okay.
Not really. Kingdom Hearts is almost like a hack and slash compared to this. This is a good deal more methodical combat wise.
So the combat system is, I could see what people. Let me ask you a question. I don't know if this is because of the back pedal I have on the PlayStation 4 controller or not, the DualShock 4 like back pedal button thing. It felt like the tactical menu kept opening up by itself, even when like the stuff wasn't ready. My ATB wasn't full. Is there something happening there, or is it just maybe some wonkiness with my controller?
Sounds like something. I mean, yeah, that never happens to me. But also, like, what are you playing? Are you playing classic mode?
No.
No, yeah, because the ATB thing should only come up when you push X or the shoulder buttons. Yeah.
All right, so I'm thinking like I have it like in my recording, and I'm like, am I accidentally hitting the button? Let me just get it. So there must be something wrong with the controller. I'll have to try.
You're blowing it, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it's in the video. I recorded a long video because I used that as an excuse to I had to record some footage for a new capture card that does 4K HDR as an external card. It's very good. But like, so yeah, you could see in that video, like there's points where it's like, it just keeps coming up like 3 times in a row. And I'm like not pressing the button. I don't know what's going on. And it still says not ready to go. So yeah. Okay.
Something there in the back.
Yeah. I think I'll just try a different controller first and see if that fixes it. And if it doesn't, it's probably just that back button. Okay. But yeah, I'm really liking it, but I'm very early. How much more have you played since we had that long conversation about it?
A good bit. I mean, I'm pretty close to the end. I'm pretty sure. And it's still has been great.
Yeah. It's
I've actually been like some of like there's a point where I was like, is some of this stuff filler? I don't know. And now I'm like, no, it's not filler. This is all very important and good.
Did I hear right that this game has 24 side quests? Is that a real thing? Do you not know?
I mean, it sounds about right. I mean, they definitely number them. I don't know. I don't know if I've done 24 of them, but yeah, sure, 24 cyclists, whatever.
It's such a weird thing to like have such a like I don't know, because like
I mean, the way it works is like it's paced very deliberately. So like you eventually hit a point in the game where you're in like a town, and it's like you can do a bunch of side quests right now if you want to, and usually be like, here's 6 side quests you could do, and it's usually a very good idea to do them.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm I'm really liking it. So yeah, I'm gonna just kind of eat up all the content they give me. I want to see it through because I'm hearing rumblings about the ending.
Right, me too. Like, exactly. Like, I've avoided the spoilers, but there's something to the ending.
Yeah,
and I'm very curious to see what that is.
Right, and I'm like, I am usually like spoilers. I understand the science behind it. Like, there's research. Like, oh, you enjoy things more if things get spoiled for you. Like, that's just science. And I'm like, okay. All right, I think that's right, but I don't know. And I'm like, I don't want to get spoiled, so I'm going to try to beat it before I hear what happens here, and then maybe we can actually talk about it on the podcast or something, because I would like to have a conversation about it if it's that interesting. I have like put aside the original game that I was playing on Switch to actually just play the remake. Do you think I should like go look up, like just read a plot synopsis or try to watch like a speed run or something? I don't know.
Maybe there was one pretty good speed run from Games That Quick not too long ago where like the two people actually did a really good job of explaining the plot.
Okay, that might be good.
So that might be good, but yeah, because it seems like whatever the spoiler is, it has something to do with kind of playing off the expectations on the original.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to be in. I think I want to be in the know. Because I think there's some people coming out like, oh, I never played the original, and here's my take on what that is, and so I don't need to do that. So I think I want to be in on whatever's happening. So yeah, it is a fascinating game, though. It really is. It seems like there's this mystery around it beyond just that. Like I don't know. It just seems like it has as much buzz around it as Final Fantasy VII did when it originally came out.
Right,
and that's impressive.
That's kind of surprising thing, right? Like that this actually to almost matters. Maybe not. I mean, gosh, like that was a very different time, and it seemed like it was insane how much Final Fantasy VII mattered back then. Even though like sales wise, I'm sure it won't match this,
right?
Just because of how all that stuff works. But yeah, it's crazy that this has actually, in fact, been a big deal.
Yes, I don't think I would have ever predicted it would have all gone down like this when we first saw the game get revealed. So yeah, yeah. I don't know anything else about this, or should I talk about the last game I've been playing?
Talk about that last game you've been playing, because it better be the one I'm thinking it is.
So I've been playing Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Whoa!
I'm still pretty early, but I've found some time to play, and man, that game feels nice to play. That's a fun
Sure
game.
does, don't it?
Yeah, I felt like I was getting lost early on, but I think it was just a matter of realizing like, no, that's just what type of game this is, and the whole point is like finding the path. Like the map is not just going to tell you, it's not going to make it easy. Just go out and explore. And then once I got into that rhythm, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why these games are good. These games are good because of this thing. So I've been falling into the rhythm, and now it's like, okay, I'm ready to really go to town on this
What
game.
are you playing on?
I am going between Xbox One and the Windows 10 version with the Xbox app so that I can.
How's the Xbox version running these days?
Much better. Yeah, so I was telling you I had like that weird like variable frame rate that was really noticeable where it was like speeding up and slowing down. I think I'd heard other people talk about this, and I'm like, they're probably making too big of a deal of it. I'm like, no, I noticed it, and it's kind of gross to look at. And then the update, we talked about it last time. You're like, there's probably an update. I'm like, he's probably right. Let me go check it out. And yeah, it updated, and it looks much smoother, much better, and I haven't had any issues since. So that's been good. I think they're fixing that game up right. So that's a good thing to see. But yeah, I mean, I'll have more to talk about like as I play more here in the coming weeks. But
Just stick with it, or else I'll hurt you.
No, yeah, and I'll hurt you if I don't, like just emotionally. So
you've already hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's good, and I didn't realize I'm like, oh, I really did need a Metroidvania game right now. I play so many. It's like, yeah, I think I had gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, there's so many of those. I don't need to play any of one of them right now. But after Bloodstained, it's like, it's like, oh no, this is just a super well designed game. So
that's just the place you want to be.
Yeah, and I'm digging, and my kids still like really like watching it actually. So they like seeing the different characters and stuff, and they like Ori, and so that's cool.
Well, the kids have good taste, unlike their awful father.
Yeah, they were playing Ring Fit with their mom today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Stephanie started her.
There's a game I wish I had.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm like, man, we have this thing. We really should put it to use. So she asked them, like, yeah, let's get it set up, and then got it set up, and then so she has the Pilates ring, and then Emmy got her cup of water that has two handles, and was pretending it was the Pilates ring and doing all the motions right along with her, and it was very very cute and very very fun to watch. But yeah, I've been playing that game too. But what else is there to say? I don't want to make people jealous who don't have it.
Sure. I mean, I've been playing Overwatch. Although the new hero came out, and she seems really fun. Echo. It's a flying shooty robot thing.
I have that on Switch. I should just like boot that up and play it there.
Switch. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if I was really gonna play it, it'd be on PC. But I'm not really gonna play it. I'm like, I could at least like see what the new characters all like.
Yes, I am playing that game with friends all the time. If you ever have the itch, I'm on there.
Yeah, I should.
I play it constantly. Still.
Yeah, that's I used to before the second kid was born. I used to like get on Discord every night and like see who was playing what and being like, oh yeah, I could probably play a little bit of that, and then watch people's Twitch streams and stuff like that. And that's all just gone out the window since the second kid. So it's starting to get to a point again where I am getting a little bit more time at night after everyone gets.
But then the third kid will come, and then you're back to.
Oh no, I'm gonna fucking get snip before that happens. Fuck all that. Oh, I don't want to die of stress, Mike.
I like it.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm starting to get a little bit more time at night, and I think I'm like, okay, I need to start getting back to the rhythm of like seeing what people are playing and just playing games with other people, especially now when it's like, it's not like I socialized a lot before. I'm a dad in the suburbs, and that almost inherently means don't have friends. Like that's what like you could just like switch those two things around, like person without friends, dad in the suburbs. But I should still try to make some effort to socialize so that I'm not a complete hermit, like when it comes time to like go back out to events and things. So yeah, I'll see if you're playing Overwatch any night, and give it a shot.
I'm going to the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, man.
It's been years. It's going to be years. Huh.
Yeah.
Memory.
Yeah, I think that should be like one of the first things I go to once everything gets back to normal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The movies.
You gotta support them in these unprecedented times.
These unprecedented times.
If the WWE is able to be a essential service, the Cheesecake Factory better.
Goddamn right. Goddamn right. All right,
That's all
everybody.
I'll say.
We should wrap this up. Get out of here. Let Mike get back to his beverage. Let me go check on my
Just a
family.
Sprite Zero now.
I know there's vodka in
Actually,
there. You don't have to fuck around.
No, Sprite Zero sugar with ginger.
Ooh,
Which basically is just ginger
sounds
ale.
delicious, actually.
It's
Yeah.
ginger ale.
Is it just ginger ale? Okay. Well, I mean, ginger ale's delicious. So
I like ginger ale.
yeah, ginger ale's the slam. Yeah, I would die for
It's a
ginger ale right
slam.
now. But our Kroger didn't have any drinks. That we got
Wow.
we got our thing today, and a ton of stuff didn't come through. We were expecting that, but it was like 0 of the beverages, and they're just like, yeah, everyone's just I think at home, and that normally people go out and like go to Starbucks and stuff, and no one's doing that, so people are just getting beverages at home. All right,
No one's got
fine.
time for Starbucks right now.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap
right.
this up. Mike, tell people where they could find you on the internet.
You can find me on Twitter at Tolkoto, Tolkoto.
And I'm Jeff Grubb on Twitter and on twitch.tv/Jeff Grubb. I am also on YouTube, youtube.com/Jeffrey Grubb. And I did just put some videos up there of that capture card. Some examples, some 4K HDR 60 footage. It really looks fantastic. If you want to try putting that on your TV to see what Final Fantasy VII Remake looks like if you don't have it, that's a good way to watch it and see what it's like. It's like pristine quality. And then, yeah, I have another show that we run on GamesBeat. It's How Games Make Money. And last week I talked to Rami Ismail. I think this week I'm going to talk to the guy that made Splitter Steel, which is like that Prisoner's Dilemma game that that was big on Steam in the last couple of months. We have another couple episodes in the hopper. We'll see. It should be that one, though. But yeah, Mike, what about your other stuff? You got any other shows?
Yeah, 90s Disney. We I think we're actually going to have a special kind of in-between episode soon with with an interview with Kirk Wise, the co-director of Beauty and the Beast, Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, wow.
Atlantis Plus, yeah. So that'll be our in-between episode. Then we'll have another new episode on May 1st.
I'm always interested in like what co-directing is like, because it seems like that's something that happens on animated features a lot.
Especially for Disney, it's usually like there's usually like 2-person teams that often work together.
Yeah, and I wonder, is it like split up like someone does like the actors and the other person's like overseeing the animation? Or you know what? I'll listen to the episode. And I'll find out. All right, cool. That sounds great. Let's get out of here. Everyone have a good one. Keep safe, and until next week, we'll see you then.
Bye.